Well, I took a little break there. Now we're back to do some more. Today we're going to focus on the, I made a mistake in the previous round, so make sure you fix it. Of course, it's opposite sign. I think I said it, but didn't write it. But anyways, we're going to do solving on this section and try to get to part of the second page. So let's look at solving. Hey, these are linear because the highest power is 1. Fraction equal fraction's called a what? No, it's a proportion. Sorry. So you cross multiply. So this would be 5x plus 5 equals 12x minus 18. So subtract 5x, add 18. Because when the highest power is 1, you get the variables on one side, numbers on the other. So subtract 7, so that'd be 23 over 7. See, easy peasy. This one, you just square root both sides. So x equals plus or minus 3i. Now this one's linear, so again, variables on one side, numbers on the other. So subtract 3x, add 6, divide by q. Okay, now, if we distributed this, the highest power would be 2, so that means it's a quadratic. So if you have a product equal to 0, you can just set each term equal to 0. So x equals 0, x equals negative 6. This one, whenever you have a radical equals a number, you just reverse the index. So I'd square both sides. So x squared minus 8x equals 9. Now, since it doesn't say solve by factoring, you could do quadratic formula. I would probably do completing the square if I was going that route, but this is factorable. So I'm going to subtract 9. Completing the square would be excellent. So this would be x minus 9, x plus 1. So x equals 9, x equals negative 1. And whenever you have a radical, you should check, you should check, and they both do work. This one again, I'm going to square both sides, so it's 2x squared minus 25 equals x squared. Different ways you could get it all one side, factor, or you could subtract the x squared, add the 25, square root both sides, so x equals plus or minus 5, but square root cannot equal negative, so therefore I know that negative does not work. So the answer is just 5. Again with this one, notice square equals a number, so square root both sides. So it'd be plus or minus 3 square root of 2, because 18 is 9 times 2, square root of 9 is 3. Subtract 1. Doink, doink. And then divide by 2. Goodness. And this one again, you could do, if it doesn't say solve by factoring, you could do quadratic formula. Completing the square would be a little bit of a pain because that's an odd number. But I'm going to factor this because it is factorable. Whenever you have a product equal to 0, set each one equal to 0. So x minus 5 equals 0, so x equals 5. X plus 2 equals 0, so x equals negative 2. Now, I'm not saying this is the only type of problem that could be on the final, but if you know how to do these, you better know how to do these. Let's put it that way. Now, the next page is solving systems. So I didn't think you'd care. I actually wrote that on another page just so it was a little bit easier to work with because that was kind of squished together. But before we do that, let's talk about our sponsor, and that is, of course, the Great Little Debbie. Notice how they made the food look like a heart to remind you of love. And there's nothing better to love than food. Think Little Debbie. Okay, back to our problem. The addition method, what we want to do is multiply both sides of each equation by different numbers to get opposite coefficients. Either opposite coefficients for the x, opposite coefficients for the y's, doesn't really matter. I'm going to do the y's just because I want to. And the easiest way is just to multiply by the opposite number. So this was 2, multiply this by 2, this is 3, multiply this by 3. The only thing is if you have a common factor that you could not multiply by, it's going to cause it to be bigger. So if I did this by, let's say, a number that, let's say, multiply this by 4, multiply this by 6, well, then it's going to be bigger numbers where I could have done 2 and 3. But these are prime, so it works out. So 4x minus 6y equals negative 2. This would be 15x plus 6y equals 21. Now, if we did this right, one of the variables should have opposite coefficients, so when we add it, it drops out. So this would be 19x equals 19, so x equals 1. Now notice, I'm not done. So you have to put 1 in for either here or here to find y, and that's the mistake people tend to make. So I'll put 1 in here, doink, 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 doink. So subtract 2, minus 3y equals minus 3, so y equals 1. The sleeping owl. Okay, substitution. Substitution, you have to solve for one of the variables. Now, if you solve for a variable that has a 1 or negative 1 in front of it, it makes it a lot nicer. You're not going to have to deal with fractions. Now, you may not have a choice, but in this case, we do. I'm going to add y, subtract 5. So 7x minus 5 equals y. Put that back in here. This is 7x minus 5. 13. So we have 3x plus 35x minus 25. Well, these are nice numbers, aren't they? Add 25, that's 38x equals 38. X equals 1. So put that back up in here. 7 minus 5 is 2. Now notice there could be no answer. Remember parallel lines and a same line? But I believe there's only 1 or 2 of these on the final. I told you. So here we got to find the D. Remember, it's 4, 6, the coefficients. So this would be negative 20 minus 18 is negative 38. Then we have dx, which is, we switch the coefficients of x with the last, the constants. We leave the coefficients of y. Oops. I don't know why I always want to make that curve. That's my bad. So that'd be negative 25 plus 6. So minus 25 minus a minus 6. So that's a negative 19. And then we have dy. You switch the coefficients of y with the constants. And that's minus 8 minus 30, which is negative 38. So x is dx divided by d, which is negative 19 over negative 38, which is 1/2. And a dy over d is my y, which is negative 38 over negative 38, which is 1. So my answer is 1/2. 1. Okie doke. So that's my answers for that. And to be honest, I don't know where. Oh, here it is. Thought I threw away the test. How embarrassing. So I'm write these here. 1, 1. This is 1, 2. And this is 1/2. 1. Sorry. So, well, it's 10 minutes, so I guess there's another review to watch. Bye.